Oi, oi. I'm doing a little Dublin Racing Festival preview with the voice of Ireland, Jamie Wren, tomorrow. Also catching up with the Cheltenham Exchange lads Thursday evening. Hopefully going to put something else out with them. Probably coming Friday. This video is... there are some tippy selections in here as well, but this is more about, I've done some work for gg.co.uk again. I'll put a link in the description to the column. It's probably easier to read from that sort of stuff. But I've done some trends over the last 5 years for some of the Dublin Racing Festival stuff and what it means for future festival winners. So you'll see lots of people putting things out on this, I guess, on this theory and this practice of Dublin Racing Festival point us towards Cheltenham, but I don't feel they provide a lot of context. And also, just because, you can prove anything with facts, just because someone weights it in a certain way, you can make a different argument. So I'll peel into that when we go into it. I'm going to start changing the share of the screen. I'll put some headlining numbers towards the bottom, and then I'll share some pictures up on the side of the screen as we go. So talking of those headline numbers, there have been 29 Cheltenham Festival winners who ran at the Dublin Racing Festival in the same season. So that's since its inception in 2018. Interestingly enough, though, half of those Futureful Festival winners didn't actually win at the Dublin Racing Festival. So again, that's where you could say more than half won the races that went at the festival, which then puts the emphasis on that you need to be finding the winners. Here I'm saying doesn't really matter. The also-rans do all right as well. There has been a few races that haven't produced a Cheltenham Festival winner. So again, in terms of scoring off races to maybe look at the Dublin Race Festival form in a bit further detail: the Ultima, Fred Winter, Champion Chase, Grand Daniel, Turners, Stairs Hurdle, Kinmure, County Hurdle, Fox Hunters, Mares Chase. So there's been quite a few races at the Dublin Race Festival that have produced a festival winner. Everything bar the 2 mile 5 furlong handicap chase. Some of the handicaps at Dublin Race Festival do seem to be their own targets. So that's some data that's in there too. There's a table at the top of that. And then I'll talk about the different types of Cheltenham races. I've mentioned the 10 that's not in there. Things like the Triumph and the Champion Bumper have had more winners than anything else. They've both had 3. And there's a handful that have had, or 9, that have had 2 or more winners. So that data's out on there. I'm going to run through each of the races on every single day quickly to give a quick summary of it. As I say, you can read it for yourself anyway, but let's do it chronological order. The Nathaniel Lacey and Partners 2 mile 6 novice hurdle. Quickly run through the stats, then we'll have a quick look at the betting. 3 out of 5 were age 5, 3 out of 5 were single figures. 2 wore a first time hood. That was the last 2, and both of those 2 were for Willie Mullins, who is the top trainer in this. Only one winning favourite and only one winner of this, or winner in this race, has gone on to win at Cheltenham. That was Vanilla. He came 10th in this race, went and won the Spud. So we'll have a look at the betting for it. I think that makes a bit more of an insight, given that this is recorded on Wednesday. So the markets will change when we get towards final declarations, but this gives us a bit of a view maybe of what the market's thinking of who might go and not. So talked about only one favourite's won this race. I touched on in the article that Grangeclare West for Willie Mullins was obviously a very well-touted horse in the Lawler of Nice. Didn't particularly run very well. Willie Mullins with that first-time hood's got a fantastic record. So if the application of headgear comes onto Grangeclare West, you would expect that the money should particularly follow. Sandor Cleggan is the shortest priced Albert Bartlett horse that's potentially going to run in here. Goodland's obviously a well-fancied horse too. So it looks like another nice race like it always has done. Betting in there looks patchy enough as it is. Grangeclare West, as it stands at this point, would be the one that I'd be tempted to have a little bit of a punt on, but that is on the basis that there is an application of a hood. The Spring Juveniles, the next race up. Quite a few well-known names that are in here. 4 out of 5 winners were priced 3 to 1 or lower. 4 out of 5 didn't wear headgear, including tongue ties. One horse did, that was Vauban, first time tongue tie. 4 out of 5 were trained by Joseph or Willie, so 2 each. 3 Cheltenham Festival winners. Fart Class finished second in this race in 2018, but went on and won. Obviously, we have the ill-fated Sir Eric in here as well, so it could have been slightly different. 2 winning favourites, 2 ridden by Paul Townend. So probably going to see Lossy Mouth versus Blood Destiny going here. I'm going to bring the betting up again on the screen. This is a race that I do really like, to be honest with you. The year that Mr. Adjudicator and Far Class ran against each other, Espoir de Lamb was in there. He finished lame, obviously came back to win a champion hurdle. I think he would have gone close with this. Now, I touched on within here as well that Willie Mullins, I don't think he's actually had, let me just double check in here. Yeah, he hasn't actually had a favourite in here. He's not had a favourite in this race in any of the last 5 years, but he's horses that have won, or the horse that did win, was the one that was most fancy. Now, he's got Lossy Mouth, Blood Destiny, first and second favourite in here. He's even got Garland Massot, the third favourite. Like, it's going to Clossard, and let's not forget that. It'll be just good to see them two go up against each other to get a real handle on who is the best and whether that mare's allowance makes that much of a difference. The Irish Arkle, we have got 4 out of 5 winning favourites. We've got 3 of those 5 trained by Willie Mullins. We've got 3 out of 5 ridden by Paul Townend, funnily enough. 3 out of 5 were age 7. 2 sported a tongue tie, but not for the first time, so they'd won it before. And then it produced 1 Cheltenham Festival winner. So again, where I touched on the fact that we had the ill-fated Sir Eric, Footpad went and did this and went and won at Cheltenham. Larichberg was favourite, didn't go, probably would have won that year. And Energumene wasn't necessarily favourite, but maybe could have gone close. We saw what he did to Shishkin in the actual champion chase. So as much as it doesn't look like on paper it's a great Arkle trial, it's still a good race. Now, we know John Bond's the one to beat. Willie Mullins potentially is going to run the lot in there. I did talk about, appreciate, didn't I, the fact that surely he would run in here, and if he gets beat, then you step him up to the Turners. I know there's been money in those markets, but I've talked over that more than enough times, haven't I? If we do look at the betting for that race, I think this is where it gets arguably interesting, because I backed Appreciate 11-4 when he was in both races and they were fancying it. But and as I say, like my theory was he's got to run here. He's got to test him in here. He is 7-4 with William Hill still, but he's as short as even money in other places. Dysart Dynamo's 2s, Banbridge is 9-2. El Fabiano is probably on the drift, so Saint War a little bit. But really, Willie Mullins has run quite a few in this race before, 4 or 5 I think he's run in the past. He's going to run a couple at least in here. So I think he's going to run Appreciate, Dysart Dynamo. Saint War could go here. Who cares with the rest of them? I don't want to be rude, but who cares? Appreciate It for me is the best 2-miler in closer, and I think he's going to go and win. But if you look at those stats and trends and stuff, who really knows what's going to pop in there? Because of his age perspective, probably Dysart Dynamo and Banbridge are the ones that maybe look the best. Maybe Dysart Dynamo is the obvious one on those figures, but that's not what they always need to be used for. Irish Gold Cup's up next. We haven't had a single favourite in the 5 renewals of this. We have none of these horses have gone on to win at Cheltenham, even the horses that were in behind. We've had no Cheltenham Festival winners within here. Now, from a stats perspective and even from a price perspective, it's irrelevant this year, isn't it? Because Galopin de Champs in here. Galopin de Champs is going to win. Galopin de Champs is going to probably go and win a Gold Cup. So ignore the stats, all those bits and pieces. I don't even think there's a bet to try and find him behind. So as much as it's good to do this for completeness, irrelevant when you've got a horse like that that's running in there. There's a 3-mile handicap hurdle. Now, this is a race that I think it used to be called the William Fry, didn't it? But it's a decent enough race. We've had 5 of the 5 winners have rated between 125 and 130. 4 single figure priced winners, so it's not that hard to find apart from Maze Runner was a big price, wasn't it? 2 of the 5 were ridden by claimers, 2 were age 6, couple trained by Willie Mullins, something sported a tongue tie once, but it wasn't the first time. And then we've had a Cheltenham winner, but not the winner of the race. Delta Work finished 4th in this, went and won a Patumps. So looking at all that stuff, in terms of a quick summary within here, there's a few that sort of meet the criteria. So that's Max Flamingo, A Great View, and Percival, Leguar, and the Little Yankel Maze mixes it. Of the ones that tick those boxes as a 6-year-old, as well as the single price Briggers, it's that Percival, Leguar for JP McManus. So you can probably see why he's favourite. I think perhaps Max Flamingo, who is already a course winner as well, is worth a second look. He's reverting back to hurdles. He's £16 lower than he would be if he was chasing. And he's a best price, maybe 16s or 18s. Let's have a little look. But again, I've done the 4 that I'm going to mention handicaps. I've done like a little small bet on them. Is that it? That's it. So yeah, you can see Percival Leguar is 9-2, bet for each 5, probably looks like a standout price. I mean, it is. Max Flamingo, one I've mentioned, being nibbled, 16s, lots of places, 20 top price Ladbrokes. I think he's a bet on those stats and stuff alone. So get in there, fill your boots. Don't fill your boots, have a couple of quid. Then we've got 2-mile 1 handicap chase. Away with the Seas going for a hat trick. Won this the last 2 years. 3 of the last 5 were rated 133 or lower. 3 out of the 5 were age 6. 2 ridden by a claimer the last 2. 2 trained by Joseph O'Brien the last 2. 2 sported some sort of head giver that already won it before. We've had 1 Cheltenham Festival winner from this. It was the Shunter who was 3rd. He went on and won the plate. We've had no winning favourites of the race. So touched on the 3 6-year-olds in there. Away with the Sea was 6, now 7. So that kind of puts him out on the age angle. But he's got a chance, hasn't he? He is high enough in the weight. So because, as I say, 3 out of 5 are rated 133 or lower. So if we're looking at it from that sort of thing. Get My Drift for JP McManus. He looks probably one of the best below the 133. In terms of that rating, like it gives you a few winners, doesn't it? But Barna Sulia is another one that I've backed. He's 6, he's rated 129, so ticks the boxes for those top 2 things, the 3 out of 5 ones. Had a spin over hurdles in January, which looks preppy to me. Last seen chasing, but that was in a 3-mile grade 1 at Christmas. He's about 16 to 1 poke. I think you can get 18s. It's his only entry of the weekend. So, I mean, if he's going to run here at the Dublin Racing Festival, he's going to run here in this race, isn't he? I mean, I wouldn't be getting like overly excited. There is a bit of a weakness on him in the exchange as well. He has gone out to 18s, 16s and 12s in other places. Final orders is being nibbled in. Probably does look an obvious one. Like, I think he routed the last day, didn't he? Get my drift, the one that I mentioned is 5-2 with William Hill, but 4-1 Bet365. So another one of those that Bet365 are top price if you fancy getting on a few favourites at prices, especially the JP potential gambles. But I like this Barnasulia. He has got some real good form back at 2 miles as well. They've run him over 2.5. They have run him over 3. I don't think he wants that trip. I spoke to George a little bit earlier. He thinks maybe he does. We haven't had the back and forth on that yet, but there's my thoughts on that race. Right, screen recording's gone. So we're going to just continue with the video talking about some other bits and pieces. Right, the bumper. We've had 5 out of 5 winning favourites. 4 have been trained by Willie Mullins. 4 have been ridden by Patrick, of course. 3 were age 5. 2 Cheltenham Festival winners. Both, funny enough, winning the bumper. Favourites have a real stranglehold in this race. With Willie Mullins, he has a stranglehold in it too, but I don't think we really know who his better bumper horses are. I know we've had the one recently that's gone out, it's for me, but Facile Mode warrants huge respect in this market, I think. He's about a 3-1 point maybe. And I just think there with the fact that, you know, Willie's got some other horses like your Chapeau de Soleil that could potentially go here. Gordon may not even know what his best bumper horse is. I reckon that horse could be underappreciated. And like there, from a statistic perspective, lots of favourites have won this. We have had sort of like 11-4 favourites and we've had a couple of odds on pokes, but I think Facile Mode for me would be the one to be looking at within this race. Moving on to Sunday, we've got the Mares Handicap Hurdle. This is a race that has been won, not loads of times, but it's been won by Gordon Elliott a couple of times, but it has been won by someone wearing headgear every single year. First time cheek pieces for Evan Elgas, who then went on to be the only festival winner that's won this race. Have been 3 other festival winners within this race though. Concertista, Mrs. Milner and Tell Me Something Girl were all beaten in here. So don't need to necessarily worry about the winner for Cheltenham Festival perspective. We have had 3 winning favourites in here. 2 have been trained by Gordon, already said that, and 2 by Davy Russell as well. Liberty Dance, he's got, I think that's got a proper chance. Only narrowly delayed in that mare's bumper last year. I tipped her up in that mare's bumper last year. I was a bit gutted that she didn't get it because I thought she probably would. She's the price that she is for a reason, so not really a well-found one, but I've said her anyway. Then the Flogas Novices Chase, the 2 mile 5. We've had a Brown Advisory winner from this, which was Monkfist, won this and then went off. We've had a couple of other winners though. We had Ralph Vinden went and won the National Hunt Chase, and the Storyteller went and won the Plate. Last 3 have been Willie, last 3 have been Paul Townend. We've had 5 out of 5 winning favourites in here as well. As it stands, Gordon Elliott's got Mighty Potter, who is the favourite. I think he's about maybe 9-4. James de Burley will be the best of Willie Mullins in there, next up in there. Obviously, there's 5 out of 5 favourites that have won this, but it's probably crucial to talk about the fact that there's been a couple of joint favourites. So Monolith, when he won at 11-4, was joint favourite with Gordon Sutton Place, who pulled up. He had another favourite who was a joint favourite, which was Battle Over Doyle in 2020, who fell when Forheen won, who was the other joint favourite. So 5 out of 5 favourites, but the 2 favourites that Gordon Elliott's had haven't completed. It's interesting, isn't it? I think Willie Mullins had loads in this. Didn't have a runner in 2019, but he's had a runner in all the other years. And he had 5, 4, 3 and 4. So the average is 4 runners in there. He could stick plenty within here, couldn't he? As much as they've talked about the Cheltenham Festival, a Brown Advisory, National Hunt Chase and a Plate winner in there, it probably doesn't mean it's a good point for the turners. But look at what Forheen did that year. Almost went on in there. Mighty Potter has been subject to some support on the exchange. As I say, I spoke to Matt. He gave me a little line in on that, and I told you 110s on there. He's half that price on the machine now. But Mighty Potter, for me, I like this also. Fingers crossed we'll see him go. I think that 9-4 is not a bad price. Onto the Dublin Chase. Willie Mullins has won the last 5. Favourites have won the last 5. Min, Chacun Poussoir, Chacun Poussoir, Chacun Poussoir. Min's the only one that's gone on to win at Cheltenham, and he won the Ryanair, not this race. So as much as Blue Lod's in, he's been sent off very, very short. It's a great race historically for the market leader, but it doesn't really necessarily mean he's going to go and win at the Cheltenham Festival. I obviously put this horse up for the Ryanair, so I'm hoping that he maybe just gets the job done or whatever it is, but it's too short to even talk about the race, really, isn't it? 2 mile 5 Handicap Chase. This was the one that I said that hasn't produced anything towards Cheltenham in the slightest. We've had 4 out of the last 5 have worn some sort of headgear. Go back to the first renewal, 2018, where something had its first time combo on there. 6, 7, 7, 8, 8-year-olds. So we've had those sort of age bands in there, 7 and 8s probably. 3 out of 5 have been rated between 130 and 135. 2 have been ridden by a claimer. So this was another race that I looked at where It seems to be a target in its own right as opposed to going on to Cheltenham. I was looking at 6, 7, 8-year-olds, and I was looking at whittling it down between that 130 and 135. Previous winners, Glamorgan, Duke and Birchdale are in it, but they don't hit the criteria because of their age. Of the 5 that are left, all but Rambleton Jack and Melina Girl wear headgear, so if they had that applied, that would be interesting for them. The ones that are left over, you can see why Indigo Breeze is favourite, and Nowhere or When is as short as 7-1 in places, but Mars Harper's the other one that ticks a lot of boxes, so he's the other one that I've had a small handicap interest on. He's 20-1. I think if you look back at that run behind Mighty Potter as well, that's running an hour before, could be a form boost. So he's one at a big price. I think it's maybe worth having a go. I know we haven't got the decks yet, so tread carefully. Irish Champion Hurdles after this. It's all about Honeysuckle, really. She won the last 3. She's the one that's got all the Cheltenham winners off the back of this. 3 were trained by Henry de Bromhead, so that's going to affect the stats quite a lot. The last 4 have all been odds-on favourites. She was 1-4 last year, or 1-5, wasn't she? Does look a good renewal. State Man is going to be favourite. I don't think he will go odds on though. I think there'll be money for Honeysuckle. Like I say, she stands alone on the stats that are in here as well. So I think she'll attract plenty of support. Maybe it makes State Man a bet after all that. Who knows? But it's going to be a great race. We'll see how that market moves. There could be a way of potentially backing both an Arbin and all that sort of stuff. But we won't go into trading here. 2-mile novices hurdle, which is where we're going to see Fasal Vega go. Just before I carry on with some of the stats, Gallop into Shot myself 100-1 in this race. Mental. Anywho, we've had 4 out of 5 favourites that have won this. We've had 2 winners of a Ballymore, 2 winners of a Supreme. We've also had another winner. We had Gallopin de Champs, who won the Martin Pipes, which produced 5 winners, 2 from the same year. That was the Appreciator year. 4 out of 5 are age 6 or 7. I mean, it's pointless again with the stats because Facile Vega should be winning this, but hopefully it'll be a testing in the water because there'll be some better horses in here. 2-mile handicap hurdle. 4 out of 5 are age 6 or 7. 4 out of 5 were single figure prices, but there are no favourites that have won this race. 3 out of 5 were 131 or lower. 3 were trained by Charles Burns. 2 were ridden by a claimer. Only 1 Cheltenham winner, which is Blurberry, who finished 17th when it won the Coral Cup. So, again, it's a target race in its own right. Gaelic Warrior props up the market. He's potentially going to run here. That's where they said that he will go. Who knows if he's 143 marks good or not. If you add the British tax on top of it, say he's 150, you'd like to think over there that he would run to those sort of numbers and that would be enough to win a handicap. But we'll see how he goes. Using the trends from above, you could land on Hey Johnny, who's around about an 8-1 poke. That's interesting. But and me and Fortune de Fortuna for Gordon Elliott would tick the boxes if they shortened. We're talking about those single figures ones. I know this is more about the stat stuff, but Henry de Bromhead did say after, I can't remember who was racing, but someone recently was talking about Ballyadam at Galway, how disappointed he was how he ran. He thought he had him sound, wasn't so sure after, and then seems to have tweaked him a bit after. He's expecting a big run for him, and he did sort of not mention or name this race, but he said next time he runs, and I think it is this race. He's 16 or 18 to 1 Ballyadam, so I know it's nutty, but say Get It Warrior doesn't run it because they decide to skip. Everything's going to shorten. I've had a Ballyadam, so he's the 4th one, I guess, that's gone in the novelty bet. The Mayor's Bumper, we've had a champion bumper winner here from Relegate. 4 out of 5 were priced 16 to 1 or higher, which I would look at as rather than being, let's look for a massive one, maybe we're due something at a bit shorter price. We've had Santa Ross that was 3 to 1 once. Last year's winner, Lily de Blay, is going to come in here again. Willie's got 2 in the race, and I know we like to back Willie in the bumper, but one of their horses is the same owners, Munir and Suede, isn't it? And the other one's the Hurricane Fly owner. So I don't know how good any of these mares are. Not one for me to get stuck in for betting, but maybe pay attention to a bit of money. But there's been gambles in this before that have gone awry. As I say, I'll put a link in the description for the GG column so you can go and look and see all these numbers and stats yourself. Apologies that the screen recording went to pot, but is what it is. And I say I will speaking to Jamie tomorrow. I'll get a video up tomorrow where we'll be talking about our actual bets in the race, where we're going in, how much we're sticking on, and sort of prices and angles for those. So thank you again for your support. Much appreciated. Please do make sure you're subscribed to the channel, like the video, comment below if you're interested, and I will see you again tomorrow.